In this video, we're going to create a universal analytics backup using Analytics Canvas Online. Once you've signed into your Canvas, go over to the UA Backups menu on the left-hand side. When you click that, you'll see a number of BigQuery locations based on what you've set up for your account. If you're new to Analytics Canvas, you may only have one. Create the backup in the data location where you'd like the data to be processed and held. In this case, I'm going to create a new one in the US multi-location. First, we'll give our backup a name. Okay, next, we'll choose the categories that we want to back up. You can customize your tables later, and you can add more tables at a different time. This refers to the tables that we'll make available from our library. We'll now choose where we want the data to be backed up. We get one option here, and that's BigQuery, Sheets, or Excel. I'm going to choose Excel for the purpose of this demo. Now we'll select the view or views that we want to back up. Remember that if you have more than one view to back up, unless the sites are tagged exactly the same, you'll want to create separate backups. Canvas will now scan for the full time period of my view and show me how much data is available. So there's 1.25 million sessions starting from 2009. If I don't want data to go that far back, I can always change this. So let's say I only want 2015, January 1st forward. Okay, the new estimate is 872,000 sessions. We now go to the predefined query library. These are queries that Canvas has chosen based on the categories that we said that we want to back up. I can now edit these tables, add my own custom queries, modify these tables in bulk, or remove tables from my export. Let's start by modifying an existing query. In this case, I'm going to edit this existing query, and I can see what's inside of it. In this case, the level of detail is set to medium by default, based on my selections to have Excel, and based on the query library that Canvas has put together. I can change this to high, and you'll see that I've now added a couple of high cardinality dimensions. I can also change the time granularity, say from days to weeks, months, and years. I would do this if I have unique metrics that can't be partitioned. For example, in this case, we have unique page views. Another example would be the users metric. I can now convert this to a custom query if I like, and I can do things like apply segments and filters, or add additional custom dimensions and metrics. In this case, I'm fine with the query, so I'm going to click Update. Canvas will now add three additional tables based on my selection, and as you can see, the query is going to continue to update based on the queries that I've selected. To create my own query, I'll click the Create Query button, and here we see the full list of dimensions and metrics, all the segments that are available to everyone, as well as the ones that are available for just this account, and any filters that I want to add to my query. By default, we're going to eliminate sampling and eliminate other. You can choose the web label if you don't want to see the UI labels of dimensions and metrics. That'll just change things slightly for you. Once you've developed that query, again, you'll see Canvas update and tell you how many rows are in your new estimate. I can copy an existing query and build off of it by simply clicking the copy button. Okay, here the query is predefined and now has the label _copy. Again, I can apply segments and filters if I choose, or I can simply add dimensions and metrics based on what I'd like to include in this query. Clicking the Canvas icon only allows me to edit this query. It does not allow me to create a custom query from this table. I can also remove the queries just by hitting the delete button. Here I can configure predefined queries in bulk. We can change the level of detail on these queries. For example, if I want high across the board, I will go and make those changes here. Similarly, I can change the granularity, the time granularity, and add additional fields, or add additional time granularities here. If you want to see what's changing, click this option here. And now when I change from, say, medium to high, you'll see which fields get added. In this case, the box is not checked, meaning that this table is not part of my backup because this site does not have any e-commerce tables. I can, of course, add it by simply clicking that option. But again, in this case, the site is not configured for e-commerce, so nothing will show up. Okay. Again, Canvas will continue to update the query until I've finished building my library, and will give me an estimate of the total number of rows that will be backed up. Great. Here I have my final row estimate of 2.41 million rows. If I want to come back and view my my library of tables, I can organize them in different ways, by category, by detail level, and by UA report group. I can also determine which ones are custom and which ones are predefined. Finally, I can search and find specific metrics in my tables to ensure that I'm backing up the things that I want to back up. The next step is to go to row validation. Here we'll see the summary for all the backups that we've configured, all the views that we've configured for this backup. In this case, we can see that there's 2.41 million rows. This will show us the list of tables that will be backed up and how many credits will be required. In this case, it's less than 10 million rows, and so I just require 1 credit for $99. I can now go to my export options. Here I do have the option to change it. If I wanted to change my mind and instead go to BigQuery or Sheets, I can do so. We see that CSV is selected by default, and it will be for both Excel and Sheets in case the rows are too large to fit in one sheet or too large to fit into one Excel workbook. We will then create a backup. Finally, I'll go to my run. When we're in full production at this point, you'll have to add your credits before you can run the backup. But once we've done that, we can go ahead and hit run, and now the backup will start. We don't have to keep this window open, and it might take some time, quite a bit of time in some cases, depending on how much data you have to back things up. So what we'll do is email you when the backup is complete. You can always come back here to check on the status of your backup later. Okay, I'll simply close that, and we'll see that it's currently pending. This one's in process. When it's finished, it's going to have the label partial load. That just means it's loaded up to date and it hasn't finished the backup. We can't, of course, finish it until after July and after the June 30th cutoff, rather. And so it will be restarted in July to fill in the rest of the data, and then it will have the label, the status label of complete. If I want to check on the existing backup, I can always go to the downloads here, and this will show me what I've backed up to date. So in this case, I've got a CSV file that contains the backup that I've run so far. Okay, and this data will only be up to and including, and during our beta, it will be up to and including, so it'll only be the year 2023, so 2023 to date. But of course, after the beta is over, once you've applied your credit, you will get the full data set. That's all for now. If you have any questions, reach out to us at support@analyticscanvas.com.